architecture and community. I'm Sharon Koskoff, and we're going to talk about Palm Beach County Art Deco and my new show, Trilogy in Lake Worth. Next. I wanted to thank the Historical Society for putting on this lecture today at 3 p.m. in the sunny afternoon at the Richard and Pat Johnson Palm Beach County History Museum. Next. Okay, so April 28th, I just told you, is World Art Deco Day. And I have just been elected the International Coalition of Art Deco Societies, a global organization of all the Art Deco societies around the world. I've just been elected to the board of directors. I'm the secretary. So I'm bringing Palm Beach County to a global stage. Their website is icadsartdeco.org. Next. So why do we celebrate Art Deco on April 28th? It's the first day of the Art Deco et Industrial exposition in Paris. And every year from now on, we will be celebrating April 28th as World Art Deco Day. Next. Currently, I have an art show called Trilogy, Art, Architecture, and Community in Hatch 1121 in Lake Worth. And that's 1121 Lucerne Avenue, just over the train tracks. And it features a major mural, a 30-foot mural I did during the Corona crisis. I asked artists to submit to me. It's called Alone Together. And 2020 is the year it began, but 2020 is for hindsight. If we only knew what we know now, we could have saved so many lives during this crisis. Good things that came out of it is that we now all Zoom casually in the middle of the afternoon. Next. I have many exhibits, and this Saturday with Trilogy, we have a walking tour, landmarks in Lake Worth Beach. It's $18 a person. It's $24 at the gate, but anyone who signs up will just have to pay $18 on Saturday. We'd love to have you at 10 a.m. and we'll see all the landmarks in Lake Worth, the Art Deco that we're going to cover today, and art galleries. And then by an optional lunch at the Irish Brigade, if anyone wants to join us for lunch. That's this Saturday, walking tour, 10 a.m. Next. So what's so exciting about World Art Deco Day, April 28th, is that next year, 1 year, in the year 2023, Miami Beach will be hosting the Art Deco World Congress. That started 30 years ago. Every 2 years, we have a World Congress in places all over the world that I've traveled to, like Cuba and Buenos Aires most recently, Shanghai, California, all over the world, Australia. They've had World Congresses every 2 years. And now full circle in 2023, it will be in Miami. The pre-Congress will be held in Palm Beach County, and the post-Congress will be in Central Florida. So it's 2 weeks of Art Deco throughout the state of Florida. Next. So as you see here on the left, you see is the Norton Museum of Art with Diana. That's the pre-Congress. The center picture is Miami, and the picture on the right is the Bach Tower. This is all for next year's World Congress, and I call it Keeping the Art in Art Deco. Next. These are my 2 books. I am a Muse Award winner from the Cultural Council, a mural artist, a preservationist, author, designer, art instructor. I teach mixed media. I just had a class yesterday here in my home. I'm an activist, a tour guide, an architectural historian, and more. These books are available from the History Museum gift shop at the Palm Beach County Historical Society. Thank you. Next. So this Saturday is the walking tour. Hope you can make it. Just email me, SharonDelRay@gmail.com, or you could add to this chat and we'll put you on the list. 10 a.m., meet at Hatch, 1121 Lucerne. It's going to be sunny. It's going to be great. It'll rain at night, and we'll have a great time. Come on down. Landmarks in Lake Worth Beach. Next. So I'm a public speaker for the Florida Humanities Speakers Bureau, where I travel around the state of Florida, most recently in Tallahassee at the Historic State Capitol Museum. Next. And following the tour, the following weekend, because Trilogy is open Saturdays and Sundays 1 to 4. But every Saturday I run an event. So the following Saturday will be Memorial Day weekend. Bring the kids for a free 1 to 4. We're going to make a mural. As you see here, our kids, they learned what Art Deco is. They made little buildings and they put trees, and we made a little Art Deco city, and that'll be on display at Trilogy as well. Next. So before we really want to learn about what is Art Deco, we always like to talk about what is Art Nouveau. Art Nouveau is the late 1800s and 1910s. And one of the most famous things that we could see is in Barcelona. Antonio Gaudi did the Sagrada Familia. So what we see here is something called organic. That means things that are growing, that are alive, that we're living. And this is growing and it looks natural. Next. Inside we see like bones and flowers, things that are alive, organic. Art Nouveau is feminine, it's flowery, organic, things growing, butterflies, birds, very feminine. The women were very large breasted women with long vines growing in their hair. Next. Just like we've seen at the Norton Museum of Art, the spirit of Art Nouveau, they had an exhibit of Alphonse Mucha. And here we see ladies with flowers in their hair. I love Art Nouveau. It's a wonderful decorative period. Next. We could see it in advertising. See, what's happening is the Industrial Revolution is changing the planet forever and the way society interacts. So mass production, printing presses, electricity, automobiles, things are starting to really change the world. And in advertising, they could start printing. So these are some Art Nouveau posters, mass production. Before that, everything was done by hand. We don't realize how fast things have changed in the last 150 years. Next. So in 1922, Howard Carter discovered King Tut's tomb. Next. And all the rage became Egyptian. Everybody followed Egyptian, the pyramids, the triangle, the 1, 2, 3s. I got to do my bucket list was to go to Egypt, and I went in 2018. Next. I went to Brooklyn College and got a degree also from the New York School of Interior Design, my master's. Next. So I painted my first mural at age 14, and I took some masking tape. My sister got married and had a young boy. My nephew's now 50, but there he is as a baby. And I just put some masking tape on a white wall, and I bought some red paint and black paint, and I painted it in. When I pulled off the tape, I had straight lines. Next. So immediately I went home and I painted a mural in my bedroom. And as you see, I have the steps, that the pyramid, the stepping down. That's a huge Art Deco element, the stepping down. Next. So my sister moved and got another apartment. And now I'm learning how to do streamline. Actually, all of our Art Deco architecture is what we call streamline moderne. It's the absence of man's idiosyncratic embellishments. It's minimal, it's fast. So what are we looking at here? We see stripes, we call those racing stripes. We see stripes, we also call them bandings. We see 3 porthole windows, 1, 2, 3. But how did I get those rounded corners? How did I get the black stripes? Well, I painted the whole wall black. And then with the masking tape, I put a lot of masking tape and I hand cut those curves. And then I painted in the grays and the terracotta. And when I pulled off the tape, the black lines appeared. So this looks like a train, speed. Everything Art Deco is speed and fast and masculine. Next. So this was my apartment in New York. I have this picture in Trilogy. I have some paintings because it's my retrospective. We see how my life changes. This was my apartment in New York. We see the Chrysler Building, the Empire State Building. If you look all the way in the left corner, we did not really think that the World Trade Center was fascinating architecture at the time. Those 2 sculptures in the corner are also on display at Trilogy. Next. So in New York, I was a member of the Art Deco Society. And in 1984, I worked on this program where we see the Chrysler Building and far away into the distance, the Empire State Building. And this poster, Art Deco Society of New York, was by Dennis Abbey, who I had met at the time. Next. And here we see that stepping. See how it steps up? This is the Empire State Building. And it's very futuristic looking. It's very modern looking. Next. And the Chrysler Building, which is Art Deco, I got to see the blueprints when I went to the World Congress 2005 in New York. I went back to New York, and we could see here concentric circles, geometry, triangles. Next. So this was the last painting I made in New York. I kind of made an homage to the mural in my home. And I put a lot of detail. And in a painting, we put a lot of detail. In a mural, which is meant to be seen from far away, we put less detail and larger forms. Next. I moved to Florida, and the first thing you do is you paint purple palm trees. And you do not paint palm trees when you live in New York, but you're so influenced by your neighborhood, your architecture, your landscape. So of course I have a little Art Deco border, a little geometric border, and we have the warm colors in the background, the red, orange, and yellow, and the cool colors in the border, blues, greens, and purples. Next. So I meet the queen of Art Deco, Barbara Bayer Capitman, and she says to me in Miami, Sharon Koskoff, you have to start the Art Deco of the Palm Beaches. And I said, well, I just moved here. I don't know anybody, and I don't know where the Art Deco is, and I don't know how to do a nonprofit corporation. And she taught me everything I know and said, go back to Palm Beach County and research and find the Art Deco, discover. Next. So the mayor of Miami gave me an award for my efforts in discovering the Art Deco in Palm Beach County. Next. Barbara wrote 2 books. She passed away before the second book was written. Michael and Dennis finished it for her. They've since moved away. Next. So Barbara showed me this one picture, and she said, this is everything that is streamlined, modern, right? Because this doesn't look like the Chrysler Building or the Empire State Building, which those are tall vertical skyscrapers with lots of decoration. This is more minimal, as I said, the absence of decoration. So let's look at this. We see 3 levels, the bottom, middle, and top, 1, 2, 3. We see 3 windows on the left. We see 3 windows on the right. If we look at the picture on the right, you can actually see it looks like a ship, like it steps up and it steps back. Stepping back means it gets smaller and smaller as we reach the top. It has rounded corners. And you could even see on the bottom picture, the 3 portholes. So everything in Art Deco will have a flat roof, rounded corners, and we'll see things like eyebrows coming up soon as well. But these are the Art Deco elements that we will see over and over again all over the world. Anywhere architecture is still standing that was built in the 30s and 40s, we'll call that Art Deco. It's actually what we actually like to call the beginning of modernism. Next. So I found this picture and I brought it back to Barbara Capitman. This has since been demolished. It's the Elephant's Foot Antique and Consignment Shop. If we see rounded corners, we see the flat roof, we see the racing stripes. Now remember I said everything is in 3s? Well, there's 4 racing stripes, but if you look like in between, that would be, say, 3. So it's all how you kind of look at it. Now, right over the doorway, there's a rounded, it looks like a shelf. We call that an eyebrow. It's a flat linear plane, and it protects the sun from coming in over a window or a doorway. So it's very functional Art Deco. Next. So I go back to my apartment in Delray and I start painting the Jazz Man in my studio. Next. Which made a picture in the Palm Beach Post. And I create 3 serigraphs, which are called silk screens. The Jazz Man became our logo. If you look to the left, ADSPB is Art Deco Society of the Palm Beaches. And in the upper right, we have the Jazz Man with our 35 for our 35th anniversary that we celebrate right now, 1987 to 2022, 35th year anniversary of Art Deco of the Palm Beaches. Next. And you'll see these at the show, come to Trilogy. So immediately I start teaching. I arrived in Florida December 85, and in 87, I started teaching at the Armory Art Center, which was originally a National Guard armory in West Palm Beach. This photo belongs to the Historic Society of Palm Beach County in their archives. And you can see the word armory on the building. That's what we call a relief. And that was a very popular element in Art Deco, where they'll tell you via relief what is going on in a building. Next. So I got everyone together. I said, let's fix this building up. Let's paint the building. And here we are in highlighting the architectural elements the way Leonard Horowitz, who worked with Barbara Capitman, did in Miami, where he painted all the hotels and Ocean Drive pastel colors. We painted the Armory Art Center. Next. And we painted it in green, purple, and orange, the pastels of the 80s, which we call the secondary colors. Red, yellow, blue is primary colors. Green, purple, orange, of course, lavender, peach, and mint are secondary colors. And keep going. Next. And this is what it looks like today. 811 Park Place. It was 1939, William Manley King. And the Art Deco Society, we run an Art Deco lecture series called Art Deco Second Wednesdays during season, where we have live lectures, although we did not have any during the last 2 years of COVID. We did all Zoom, as we are doing today. But we love the Armory Art Center. Thank you for your sponsorship and support of the Art Deco Society of the Palm Beaches. Next. And this is what it looks like today with its blue eyebrow. See right above my head, there's that shelf. We call that the eyebrow. We see how it steps down and see how it steps back, how one part of the building is behind the next. Now those columns are called fluted ribbing. We see fluted ribbing columns. And the reason that it's blue is their sculpture building has a blue tile roof. So to kind of match that, they changed the elements to blue. Next. Now, I also taught for 18 years at Old School Square, which is not Art Deco. It's Mediterranean Revival by Sam Agron Sr., 1925. This is what it looks like at night. It's here in Delray. And I bring this to attention because it's an arts building in a historic building. So the Art Deco Society not just wants to protect Art Deco buildings, but all things from the 1920s and 30s, from the modern era. And as you probably know or don't know, but the city, 3 city commissioners and the mayor shut down Old School Square on February 6th. The museum, the amphitheater, the school, the play, and the gymnasium, all 5 venues are shut down and not open at this time. And we're waiting to see what's going to happen in Delray. Very discouraging. They won't be tearing down the historic buildings, but they threw out the school. There's no more school there. Next. And this is what I taught. I still teach mixed media in my home now, mixed media collage. We've been doing Zoom for a while. Now we're having in-person classes. Next. Okay, so the School of Arts, the Dreyfus School of Arts that we just saw on TV, where they had to shoot an intruder last Friday, was attacked by an erratic person who actually graduated from the school. But at one time, they wanted to tear that entire campus down. And the Art Deco Society worked to save this. Now, only one of the buildings is Art Deco. So let's see what we saved. Next. This is what it looks like today. Beautiful historic building in an art school. This is Art Deco building. We see the 3 columns. We see relief. You can't see them, but one is film production, communications, drafting, and printing. Those little tan squares on the larger columns. Next. This is the front of the building. So we see how the profile steps down and steps back. If we look lower by the steps, we see the rounded corners of the landings by the steps. We see 3 doors. Right above the doors is a little roofway where we'll see vertical banding etched into the concrete. Next. And of course, the Norton Museum of Art, 1941 Wyeth and King. Originally, they said, oh, we're international style. We're not Art Deco. But as we'll see, we see these sculptures from the old postcard. Next. But we see the Diana and Action bronze sculptures by Paul Manship. Above them are relief. And when I wrote the book, I found out that Paul Manship also designed the relief. If we look below on the base, we see a little pyramid. We see 1, 2, 3. On the pyramid, we see ribbing. And we see the masculine woman, right? Art Deco was masculine. So they have this woman with short hair. And she's shooting an arrow into her lover because he saw her naked in the lake. So she has to kill him. So she turns him into a fox, and his own hunting dogs, devour him. And Paul Manship shows him as he's evolving. You see his ears are turning into an animal. And you could also see the background has some fluted ribbing behind the bronze sculptures. Next. So who is Paul Manship? He's the famous artist, sculptor, who did the Prometheus fountain we see every day on television. We see in Christmas movies when they go ice skating at Rockefeller Center. So this sculpture is by Paul Manship, the same sculptor who did the Diana and Action on Olive Avenue right here in Palm Beach County at the Norton Museum of Art, which is the rear entrance. Next. Here are the relief. So what we're noticing is Palm Beach County is the home of historical buildings, which are also arts institutions. And because I'm an artist, I find this fascinating. So here we see the 3 relief, inspiration, imagination, and interpretation by Paul Manship behind these relief. Next, behind the sculptures. I made my own interpretation, a painting of Paul Manship's relief in color. And that's a trilogy if you'd like to see it in person. Next. Here's what the 3rd one looks like. This is above the door. See the eyebrow, see the fluted ribbing, the flat eyebrow. And we already know that relief is Art Deco. So the way I look at this, the Norton Museum of Art is a beautiful Art Deco building, and now they agree with me and they're proud of it. The front has recently been remodeled by Sir Norman Foster, the most famous living architect in the world. Next. In Palm Beach, the island, we have the Society of Four Arts, which houses Wheeler Williams in front of the King Library. And we see these very masculine animals in bronze by Wheeler Williams, who's an Art Deco artist. Next. We also see WPA murals of drama, art, music, and literature in Palm Beach at the King Library. Next. These are pictures from my murals book. This is a detail from my book, Murals of the Palm Beaches. And you see here where the artist is carving a statue. So it's drama, art, music, and literature is the Society of Four Arts. They have a museum, the library, they have the theater, they have wonderful programming. If you've not been to the Society of Four Arts, it's certainly worth a visit to Palm Beach. And they have gardens that are free, the Philip Hulatar gardens that you could walk through that are just lovely, lovely way to spend the day. Next. Now this you might not know, the Paramount Building in Palm Beach. People are always saying, oh, it's Mediterranean revival. No, it is not. It's what we call Moorish or Arabian or Islamic Art Deco. The architect is Joseph Urban, and everything he did was Art Deco, whether it was in New York, Rockefeller Center, or in Miami. And we can see here from the photograph in the postcard, we see the flat roof. We see the centered, we didn't talk about central verticality, meaning the center is a mirror image left and right. It's symmetrical. You can have asymmetry, but Art Deco is generally symmetrical, meaning a mirror image with a center. We see how it steps up 3 levels. We see the flat roofs. We see how it steps up. We see how it also steps back. If you look at the front and the sides, one building is behind it, behind it, behind it. Next. Now, there was a display for a while. I don't think it's still there in the Paramount Center. And if we look at the floor plan of the building, it's exactly the same floor plan as Rockefeller Center. Joseph Urban designed this building to be the floor plan of Rockefeller Center. And you can see the design looks Art Deco. Next. Here we see some ornament in the Paramount Center in Palm Beach, how it's stylized. Stylized means to simplify or elongate, which is how we see the tall, skinny Arte women, very skinny and elongated. Next. Okay, so when we talk about like Arabian Deco, what does that mean? So this is by Cartier, a piece of jewelry in 1924. Remember I said Egyptian was all the rage? Well, they look back into all kinds of art history, anything that was geometric, all right? Because with the Industrial Revolution and all this machine age, they learned to make the straight line. You could not do that by hand. So they look back into Egyptian, Mayan, Aztec, all of this rich design in history that involved geometry, including these Islamic designs. So this was very popular in the 1920s. Next. So when we see that, we can see in the Lake Worth City Hall, these Arabian domes. Okay, and this is a block away from Trilogy at Hatch 1121. Okay, this is between Lake and Lucerne on Dixie Highway. This is not a Mediterranean Revival building. We would, as again, we would call this an Arabian Deco building, like a modern Arabian building, because you could see the domes. That's not Spanish. Next. In Lake Worth, we're still looking at our arts buildings that are Art Deco. We have the Lake Theater by Roy A. Benjamin in 1939. Here's the postcard of the original Lake Theater. Next. And today, it was a pasta palace for a while. Next, in the 40s. And now at 601 Lake Avenue, it is the home of the Cultural Council. So we see rounded corners, flat roof. We see fluted ribbing on the bottom and the corners. And we see the little, I can't point with this, but we see the little 1, 2, 3s, how it steps up. And there are 6 vertical lines, which is 2 times 3. So it's a beautiful streamlined modern building right in downtown Lake Worth. It's my favorite Art Deco building in the county. Next. There's a artsy view of it, of the roof line. Next. And a more abstract view. I made this photograph and people didn't know what it was. And of course, it's the Cultural Council building. And it was hanging in the airport. It won the invitation even. It was on the invitation to the show. Next. And this is the roof. If you were at the roof looking down at street painting, look at that. Those are the 6 columns where we see 3 parts in each column. Next. Inside the Cultural Council building that we'll be visiting on the Landmarks in Lake Worth tour this Saturday is the Tom Otterness Battle of the Sexes, 1982. See this white sculpture? This is from the 1980s, but right above it, we see the original fluted ribbon. Next. And I made this in color from that fluted ribbon. See the design, how I multiplied it by 4 and I added color and I twisted it and turned it and twisted and turned it. And you can see this at Trilogy, even though it's only 12 inches by 12 inches square. But this is the white Cultural Council interior by Tom Otterness. Next. My version. Next. In front of the Cultural Council, there were fire hydrants in downtown Lake Worth. And for the Veterans Day Parade, they asked artists to come. So I did a female merchant marine on the fire hydrant. And then I touched it up for their 40th anniversary in 2018. Next. The oldest building on the Art Deco registry is Moorish Deco, which we just learned about. Arabian Deco, Moorish Deco, Islamic Deco, 1924. And this is what it looked like in 1924. A hurricane in 1928, September 16th, hit Palm Beach County. Next. And flattened it. So when they remodeled it, it was in a more modern style with a flat roof with the horizontal bandings. If we look at the marquee where it says Lake Worth Playhouse, we can see the Art Deco lettering that's thick and thin. The awning is not Art Deco. That's just a decorative awning. But we see an Art Deco modern building from 1928. And they asked me to design a new marquee. So I said, well, neon was invented in the Art Deco era. People are driving cars and they're going around, they need gasolines, buy gasoline, eat at Joe's. So I said, well, we'll do it with neon. And they went, neon? Next. And I said, yes, you're going to get neon. So the interior remained the same. This is the Pecky Cypress roof, the O and the T. It was originally called the Oakley Theater. And in the center, we see the castle that it used to look like. Next. So this is the old marquee, but the building is painted yellow. Yellow is like the newest color in the last 20 years. Before that, everything was peach and green. And before that, everything was beige and brown. So everything new now is yellows, yellow greens, yellow and blues, yellow and terracotta. Next. So we designed the new logo. We made it more Art Deco with the circles and the 3 on each side, the overlapping rectangles. Next. And this is what it looks like today, where the new marquee that I designed, yellow with blue, and I made a triangular marquee because it's a one-way street. Now you have a really large billboard that people could read no matter where they're standing on either side. And if you look below, you see the transition of the original Lake Worth Playhouse after the building when they put the neon sign up, how it looked recently, and what it looks like today. It's now the gateway of downtown Lake Worth. Next, and highlighted on our tour. Then I actually painted the building next to it called the Stancic Theater. It's part of the Playhouse, but they run artsy movies, films, we should say. And I painted the building blue, and I did the door in blues and yellows to work with the neon. Next. And there I am on the roof. Next. So this is a very interesting problem in Lake Worth. We had the Lake Worth Casino, and we see what it looked like originally by G. Sherman Childs. Very ornate building. We could call it a castle if you like, with arches. And anyway, a hurricane came next. And again, they made it very modern. I mean, really absent of any decoration, with a very flat roof, that strong Z line by Edgar S. Wortman, a very important architect in Palm Beach County, who did a lot of public buildings, schools. I think he did the Mounts Botanical Gardens. And next. So they had a charrette and said, well, which building do you want? Do you want the castle or the box? So everyone raised their hand. Oh, we want the castle. So what we need to understand today is when you recreate something, that's fine, but that's not historic preservation. Historic preservation is when you restore as close as possible the exterior of a building. You can't always say the interior of a building. You can try, and put it up to modern code and standards and hurricane standards. But, when we want to preserve history, it's not, you can't recreate something that's been changed or torn down. So here it is. And this is what we have. It's beautiful. It's great, but it's not historic preservation. Next. Also in Lake Worth, we have the Seventh-day Adventist Church with its fluted ribbing. Look at the roof line there, the facade. The facade is the front of the building. The roof line just goes up, 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 and down, 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 just like that mural I painted when I was 14 in 1968. And we see kind of two porthole windows. I call it like a smiley face, the way those three bands make a U under the two eyes of the porthole doors. Next. Okay. And we have Christine's. Now this keeps changing hands, but this is very futuristic. It has neon in the word Christine's. It has the like the kind of futuristic top at the entrance. It has an entrance on a corner. That's very modern and very Art Deco to have an entrance in a corner because, you know, people can get there from both sides. If you look at the brick around the door, it goes up like a pyramid and down like a pyramid. Next. And then recently it was the blue front barbecue. So we can see clearly the three circles, the concentric circles, like it looks like a birthday cake actually. And they have closed, and I'm really hoping someone will take it over. What we didn't talk about is the glass block. If you could see on the both sides of the door, glass block is Art Deco, which makes sense because it keeps the heat in and the heat out and the coolness in. But the next slide, please. This picture is in the trilogy show that I took at Jet Setter. Jet Setter was from the 60s and 70s, and it was a great place. They built a whole garden outside, and it was very 60s, very tropical Polynesian kind of out of this jet setters. And I'm really hoping someone takes over this very large property. It's empty right now, it's vacant, but it's a great restaurant, and I can't wait to see what happens to it next. But this is a very important Art Deco building, and it's on Dixie Highway rather. Thank you. Next. We had our 20th anniversary there when it was Jet Setter. We had movie night, and we had dinner and a movie, we called it. And that was, I guess, 15 years ago. There's the inside. Next. Compass Community Center. That's open right now, LGBTQ Community Center. Originally was Famous Restaurant. And if we look at the postcard, we can see how modern it was with the glass block in the back window. And we see the postcard in the front, we see the glass block. It was seafood, it was a restaurant, it was a bar. Next. This is what it looks like today, the rear of the building, where we see different flat planes and the blue murals they have on it. Next. This is 230 Dixie Highway. This is an old postcard. Next. They keep changing the colors. It's been burgundy and green. This is an Art Deco office building on 2 blocks south of Lake. Next. Here it is in another color where they're highlighting the elements. Here's another, these are the eyebrows. So we see the flat roof, the eyebrow. To the right, we see little diamonds, 3 diamonds in the vertical eyebrow, I would call that. On the left, we see the glass block. Next. This will be on the Landmark and Lake Worth tour. Inside, they have the original barbershop chairs that are still there that are Art Deco, which are in my book. This will be on the tour. Next. L Street, we see geometric and eyebrow going around the whole building. Flat roof. Next. This is pretty sharp. They just painted this here. Anytime you paint something in fresh colors, it really causes attention. So here we see vertical triangles intersecting the eyebrows. Next. This will all be in Lake Worth. And we're going to see this in particular, H Street. This is right near Trilogy. And we see the yellow eyebrows being highlighted, the Art Deco elements highlighted in this Mexican restaurant. Next. So this just got demolished. This really hurts, this mural in Lake Worth. It's called I Heart Lake Worth. You can see the heart and the LW in the mural, and it's on the front page of the front cover of my book. But below we see, so this is a collage that is at Trilogy. So we see me painting the mural finished with help from the community. On the lower left, we see the fire hydrant, and then street painting. Lake Worth is known for its big street painting festival, and there I'm painting the Cultural Council Lake Theater building. And to the right, I did another fire hydrant in an area called Parrot Cove by the golf course in Lake Worth. Continue, next. And there's the finished mural. So you see the sense of family, the shaking of the hands, the heart, the guitar for music. We see straight lines, we see the water, the swirls for the beach. We see the globe, we see the flower around the globe and the LW along the bottom. And this has just been demolished. There were 9 murals that the CRA did, Lula did, but they're putting in windows now in an effort to sell the building. This is at 1001 Lake and Lucerne Avenue, and it's now closed. Oh, well, that's what happens when you paint a mural 10 years. Now this building will be on the tour. It's the former UPS FedEx building. It's actually the former Telegraph building. Look at that silver flat eyebrow intersecting the building. Next. Well, there it is. Look how it goes right through the wall. And this has now become an art gallery called MTN Space. This will be on the tour. It's right across the street from the Annex in Lake Worth, downtown Lake Worth. This Saturday, Landmarks in Lake Worth walking tour, $18. Come on down. Next. This is a great Art Deco building in Lake Worth. And it's no longer the art shop, but this was the oldest building for 52 years. They had the art shop in downtown Lake Worth. It's now, I think, a law office or real estate office. We'll discover it together on Saturday. Next. We see eyebrows. I think you're all experts by now of what's Art Deco. Look at how the eyebrow is being held by that little triangular steps under the roof, under the eyebrow. Do you see that little step, 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 down, 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 like steps? So Lake Worth has the largest concentration of Art Deco, meaning it's close together. There's Art Deco all over Palm Beach County. Next, in the eastern regions, what we call the Dixie Highway corridor, you'll see the most eyebrows and flat roofs. But everything that's Art Deco is obviously going to be in eastern Palm Beach County. Anything out west is going to be new developments. Next. Now the Savannah is owned by Roseanne Macaletti's, and this is an Art Deco building. Can you see the lettering? It says Savannah over the eyebrow. See the flat roof? So she came to the opening, which was April 28th on World Art Deco Day, and she invited me into her home. Well, because it's Art Deco doesn't mean I've seen the interiors. Let's take a look. Next. So the corner of these houses, there were new technology. They now had reinforced concrete. So you could have now window to window on a load-bearing wall. Before Art Deco, before modernism, you know, windows were just in the middle of a wall. So that's a very, very important element that we see over and over again. And of course, this is her lovely home. And she had 2 apartments, and look at the bathrooms are opposite. One was green and one was pink. Lovely home. Even her doorknobs were Art Deco, right? Look at the bottom. We see up, down, up, the little triangles, and we see the kaleidoscope handles. Next. And 101 Lucerne with the blue glass, the original blue glass, what we call depression blue glass. Above the doorway is a rounded eyebrow. And then of course there's on the right, the incise, the 2 lines in the circle, the geometric, incised in the concrete. Next, and I have been inside that home. 131 North Lakeside, next. Became this with a little paint, right? Look how when you highlight the architectural elements, how pretty Art Deco could be. Next, O Street. Okay, look at the concentric circles and the steps. 1, 2, 3. Next. Flat roof, eyebrow going around the house. Next. This is a beautiful staircase going to the 2nd floor with a rounded roof line. Next. This they've changed now, but look, each window had its own eyebrow. I had never seen anything like that before. Usually eyebrows are wrap around the building. I find that fascinating. They have now taken out the air conditioners. And this is amazing. On the left is 810 South Lakeside, where you have the blue glass. And when you look to the right, next, is this 812. And we met Edgar S. Wortman as an architect earlier when he did the casino building. Same architect. This very modern, this reminds me of Falling Water by Frank Lloyd Wright, the way the eyebrows kind of move geometrically. But look at the beautiful blue glass, the Depression blue glass. And I have been inside there. I have not been there recently, but when Art Marino took it over, I got to take pictures of the whole inside. Next. Here's the side view. Okay, North J Street, eyebrows. And we see circles, Beverly Ponds. So we can see why Lake Worth has so much Art Deco. Next. And this we'll see on the tour. This is a large building. And these blue stripes that we see, the bandings, the racing stripes, this is called vitrolite. It's a blue glass that like a ceramic tile that they put in the striping. And it was very, very popular in Art Deco elements. Next, and 112 Lake Avenue. I don't think we're gonna get to see this on the tour, but it'll be listed. It's a little further than we're gonna go, but just beautiful, the way the turquoise and the tan. You have the 3 levels of the building and the brickwork. Next. This is so interesting. They moved this. You could see it's on wheels at 1001 North Federal, and they moved it. Next. And they sat it down. You can see they just put in the new palm trees. It's all covered with landscape now, but it's part of, I believe it's the office to this development that you could see behind it that is not Art Deco, but they saved the Art Deco building, they preserved it, and they moved it a few blocks. So we can keep a part of our history. Next. Now, Publix, look at that with the glass block and the rounded edges, the old cars. Look at the corner racing stripes, the rounded corners. Next. So when Publix wanted to build downtown in Lake Worth, they went to the commissioners and they said, we're going to put a Publix here and this is what it's going to look like. And they showed them, the typical Spanish Mediterranean revival Publix. And the commissioners said, whoa, Sharon Koskoff's book, Art Deco of the Palm Beaches. We're a cluster of Art Deco here. We have the most Art Deco in Palm Beach County. We want an Art Deco Publix. Whoa, okay, we could do that. So they came back in 3 weeks with the plans and the neon and the triangles. And of course, they're very conservative. So they have peach and green colors. And this was from, guess what? April 28th, World Art Deco Day, but it was in 2011. Isn't that cool? Very cool. Next. Now this is called Deco Metric, new Deco. It's not historic Deco, but in Lake Worth, they built this building called the Lake Avenue Lofts, and they built it in the Deco style. If you look at the bottom row, you'll see white portholes adorning the bottom. You'll see a white on the corners, like stripes, like bandings, the flat roof. You'll see they made eyebrows and then patios. So they're doing Art Deco elements, but we can't call it Art Deco because it's not historic. So the word that I started in 1980s is called Deco Metric. It has all the elements, but it's new Deco. Next. This is also new. This is right outside the door of Trilogy at Hatch 1121 Lucerne. We'll see they built Lula is for Lucerne and Lake Avenues. Lula Art Lofts. And this is the Art Deco, their version, their Deco Metric version of what they call Art Deco. It has the porthole, the flat roofs. Now, I have to say, Art Deco would not have those borders on the roof line. It would be just straight. You see how it has like a double line there? Art Deco would not have that. Art Deco would have had like 3 stripes or something. We know that. But this is their version, their Deco-metric version of Art Deco in the Lula Art Lofts, which was affordable housing for artists who could show their work and have studios and live upstairs. And these are there right now. Across from that, the Depression era entertainment, this is a postcard of the shuffleboard courts of Lake Worth. And that was very, very popular in its time. And shuffleboard is still a pastime in Florida. Next. And this is Hatch 1121 Art Center, where Trilogy is at the historic Shuffleboard Courts. Okay, this is what it looks like. I'm not sure what the artist's name is, but they painted the mural of these famous people. And you see those two green verticals on the left? That is the front door. When you come to Trilogy, or if you come to Landmarks in Lake Worth on Saturday, you enter at those green stripes. Those doors is 1121, just at the train tracks on Lucerne. So we make the headlines of the Palm Beach Post, where they say, who doesn't love Streamline? Art Deco. Next. But it's not just a Miami Beach scene. Okay, so these two pictures here are from Lake Del Rey. Let's keep going. And Belford Shoemate is one of our most important architects in Palm Beach and West Palm Beach. He worked out of Palm Beach and Phipps Plaza. And the Preservation Foundation in Palm Beach, for our World Congress next April 2023, they're going to have a big exhibit on Belford Shoemate. Next. So they had a lot of his sketches. I identified what they were, and we're going to see this house. But look at this elevation. See how it steps down? See the porthole windows? See how it looks like a ship? Next. So this is the house. This is at 1221 North Lake Way in Palm Beach. And we see it looking like a ship. We see the three circles. All the way to the right, see how the circles also seem to have a V? That's for the V8 engine. Next. There's a detail of the V8 engine. Remember, everything is the machine age. Everything is modern. Next. This is the back of his pool, rounded streamline facing the pool. This is the front entrance. You wouldn't know it's anything. It doesn't look like it's 6,000 square foot house. You would never know. You just drive by. You could pass it in a blink. 3 steps going up, and now terrazzo floor is Art Deco. So here we see an outdoor terrazzo floor, and when we get to the 3rd landing, we see a compass like northeast, west, south, like nautical. This is a nautical home, nautical deco. There's the V8 engine next to 2 kinds of glass block, and there's the pool done in a musical note shape. The pool has the house has a musical note theme throughout. Next, this is the living room. Now it's just been sold, and I did get in there recently, but when Kirby Kalouris owned it, he had all the original furniture. So no one says because you have an Art Deco house, it means you have to have Art Deco furniture. But these pictures are the inside with Art Deco furnishings, like lamps and rounded corners on the chairs, right? All because you own a Spanish home doesn't mean you have Spanish interior, right? Next. Another Belford Shoemate home is 140 Monroe Drive, and we see the vitrolite. Remember, we saw those blue stripes? Here we see blue and yellow vitrolite stripes, the rounded entryway, the flat roofs. This house is also built like a ship. Next. Look at the rear. You know, when you go on a ship, when you walk up a steep flight of stairs, you walk up and down facing up. Oh, that's how you have to do these steps. And this is 2631 Flagler Drive. This has also recently been sold, home of the Wanger residence. And then when the Marshmans bought it, they took the W in the front door and turned the W upside down for an M. Don't leave us yet. We have 3 steps going up. Now look, see the water? We call that stylized. On the left is like a curls, like it could represent stylization of water. So on the left, we see 3 columns and then curls, and then on the right. And then we see a relief above the door, just like we saw at the Norton Museum of Art. Also stylized water fountains, as well as the iron gate. So now this roof, though, has a ceramic barrel tile roof. That's not a flat roof. That's a Spanish roof. However, when you're building a house and you're working with the architect and you're having a house built, you could get whatever you want. So obviously they said, well, we want a Spanish roof, but they got a modern house. Next. This picture we saw, and this was demolished. This is one of the first pictures we saw. Wait, we'll go back one moment, please. Can you go back? Nope, go back, go back. Okay, if we look behind the elephant's foot, we see a building that has also been demolished. That was the Gulfstream Hotel. That was the most beautiful grand hotel in West Palm Beach that was demolished, I think, in the 90s. It was very sad that we, preservation is about keeping your history. If you want to build a new hotel, build it somewhere else. Why tear down something so important in our lives to build something else? Next, that's what preservation is. Next. Okay, this is the Rinker residence, we call that. And this you could see way through the window, the glass block in the back yard. But we see in the front, the porthole window, we see the doorway has stepping out, the rounded front. And I have been in this house a long time ago. This was the Rinker residence, as in Rinker cement or concrete, Rinker cement. Next. Now, Northwood, which is in 25 blocks north of Okeechobee Boulevard, is called Northwood. And that's a very cute downtown with a lot of art shops and restaurants. It's called Northwood, if you have not been there. And this is the US Post Office. We were doing a tour there, a walking tour called, this is called Broadway. So we called it Art Deco on Broadway. And this is a post office. And we can see the fluted rib columns. We see the eyebrow. And above the name US Post Office, we see how it goes up. We call that the lightning bolt. Now this is now painted red, white, and blue. It's really cute because it's a post office. Next. This is also in Northwood. There's a restaurant called on Sunrise. It closed, the restaurant. It's called Sunrise Grill. And here we could really see the 1, 2, 3 in the roof line, the eyebrow, and we see the porthole window and the stripes coming down. That'll also be interesting to see who takes over this restaurant. I hope it opens again. Terry owned this, was the chef. I knew him for a long time. Next. Next to Sunrise, next to the restaurant, is Thailander's office. We see glass block, flat roof, and eyebrows. We're still in Northwood. Next. And if you walk along Northwood, you'll see glass block. Now look at those 3 diamonds, right? Geometric diamonds, 3 and 3. See, we don't know why everything is in 3s, but when you talk about Art Deco, everything is in groups of 3s. And of course, the flat eyebrow. Next. Okay, so now we're out of Northwood, but all throughout northern West Palm Beach, North Palm Beach County, we find these wonderful homes. And how do we find them? Just by scouring every street. And we still are identifying new Art Deco homes. But look at this lovely home with the flat roof and the eyebrow and the center design. Next. Next. We're working on it. Maybe. Maybe not. Oh, okay. So this is a recent discovery. Obviously, it's an old building, but I had to find that street. And they have all the Art Deco highlighted in burgundy. We see the vertical stripes. We see the eyebrow, the way it wraps around. We see a mirror image on both sides. Next. This is a great house. I wouldn't dare get closer to it. I wouldn't trespass on a property, but I would love to get pictures of this house without the garden in front. But kind of looks like the Cultural Council building with the fluted ribbing and the 2 columns intersecting the flat eyebrow and the flat roof. Next. Sometimes I'm out there and people are going, who are you taking a picture of? This we lost. This was in Palm Beach. This was the Brazilian Hotel. This was on the front page of the Palm Beach Post. You see the rounded corners and the flat roofs. We lost an Art Deco hotel and you can't get it back. Next. I went there the next day to get more pictures. Bam, man, they do a good job when they clean things up. When they tear it down, they tear it down. Next. Next. Del Rey. Next. All right, so Del Rey had this, kind of Art Deco lady on the billboard. This was a very famous picture. Next. I don't know if anybody knows what this is, but it's certainly a gas station from the 40s. It looks very modest. It has an eyebrow, it has a flat roof, and it became, next. It became Elwood's. And now it's called, it's the Ribs, where everybody goes on the corner on the train tracks. Johnny Brown's is the new name of it. And Johnny Brown's, what kind of name is that? Well, that was the name of Addison Meisner's monkey. And this is called Johnny Brown's, and it's known for its music and food. And when you try to cross the street in Del Rey, they're always blocking traffic. Next. So this building has two kinds of elements. It has Art Deco from the flat roof and the eyebrow, but see the white on the patio, those bricks? That's called a concrete curtain. That's a mid-century, meaning 50s and 60s element. So it's a modern building, but it might have been transitioning. It might be very late 40s. And it was in need of help. And I designed the colors for this building. Of course, yellow is the new color. We talked about it. So this building is yellow with an olive green eyebrow and a terracotta roof line. But paint goes a long way on a building. Next. Now, this has really gone through a lot of changes. This is a historic photograph, a postcard of Zuckerman's, which was a ladies' department store. And we see the geometric lines, just like that building in Lake Worth. We see the round portholes. We see the eyebrow and the ribbing and the marquee. So let's go next. So when I moved, when I moved here in the 80s, one back, please, it looked like this, Mirza Wenzel. So obviously they took, plaster, and they plastered over all the Art Deco elements and made it more modern, really made more 60s or 70s. Next. And just recently, Bob Curry, a good friend of mine, architect who passed away about 2 years ago. Nope, go back. He brought back all the Art Deco elements. So we would call this decometric. So let's take a look. He put in the 3 stripes. He put in a vertical intersecting green, white, green, where you see the 401, the address on the right. And if you look to the left, anyway, so on the bottom, the store is called Fresh Produce. And I thought, oh, great, we're going to get a fruit and vegetable stand. I didn't know Fresh Produce was a t-shirt shop. But nice colors, the mint green, and it brings back some history to downtown Atlantic Avenue. Next. This is decometric. They just built this from scratch. It wasn't anything before. It's a pharmacy. It's a old-fashioned soda fountain pharmacy where you can get your prescriptions and have ice cream soda. And it's all done like a Miami Beach hotel. Next. Okay, so this building is in my book, Art Deco of the Palm Beaches. It's an apartment complex. And they asked me to make it Art Deco addresses. Next. So on a few of the buildings, there was a peach building, a green building, a blue building, a yellow building. I put complementary colors, opposite colors, and I put the address all over the windows, gave it more Art Deco elements. But you could see the glass block and the flat roof and the eyebrows. Next. This is the cover of my Art Deco book, Art Deco of the Palm Beaches. And I didn't get to pick it. My publisher, Arcadia, selected it. They said that they like to have people on the pictures of books. And this book was about architecture. So they found a book. So it doesn't really look Art Deco. It looks like the women swimming are from the 50s or 40s, but it's an Art Deco building. We see 3 windows. We see the flat roof. We see the built-in eyebrow, but mostly we see a palm tree. But this is the cover of the book, and it was from the Del Rey Beach Historic Society. So that made them very happy. Next. This is also in the book. Here we see the zigzag, the lightning bolt, that Z, the way the buildings go like a zipper with a flat roof. This is Delray Beach Terrace. Next. And more Art Deco on the beach in Delray. Next. This is no longer here. This was on East Atlantic Avenue, bowling. And look at how the intersected eyebrow, much like the one in Lake Worth that's still standing. Next. More historic Delray, more marquees. Next. This is probably where Boston's on the Beach is. Next. This is the Boyd building where Deck 84 restaurant is, where the Intracoastal is, where this is a true Art Deco building. And this would actually be included in the arts section because in its day when they built it, here we see it under construction, all artists and poets lived there and had studios in there. And it was a real hip hop kind of happening artsy place. Now it's a restaurant. Next. And in 1990, they asked me to design the colors. Things were so conservative in Palm Beach County that when I asked to paint the building peach, pale peach with white emphasis on the columns, the commissioner was like, oh my God, she wants to paint a peach building. They went crazy. Next. Okay, we're almost done. Thank you for hanging in with me. This is Ruth and Ray Wenger. We saw the picture of this house in the Palm Beach Post with the 3 circles. Now let's have an in-depth look of this house. It's owned by Linda Stabile on our board of directors. Next. Look how advanced he was. He had the sidecar on his motorcycle. So it's at 3811 Wall Street, which is in Boynton Beach in a Palm Beach County pocket park with a Delray Beach zip code. Next. This is what it looked like when I first moved here. Certainly if you were riding your bicycle, you'd probably stop and take a look. I have redesigned it recently in Egyptian colors, but wow, you have just eyebrows that are not protecting the window. They're just decorative eyebrows on the left. It just looks like a birthday cake of eyebrows. We see the 3 porthole windows. We see triangles. We see the highlighted in burgundy, the roof line, the eyebrow. We see crazy stairwell up to the roof. We see hearts because Ray built this for his wife, who he loved. So we see hearts repeated, which is a geometric shape. Next. Here's details of what it was. These are like eyebrow steps, right? Next. Keep going. That's the picture in my book. And this is what it looks like today after a fresh upgrade with Egyptian colors of the turquoise and the terracotta and very, very handsome colors. Okay. Next, we're on Art Deco. We do a walking tour in Delray called Deco in Delray. Haven't done that in a while. We haven't done any walking tours or bus trips in a while because COVID has just changed everything, but we're getting back to normal starting this Saturday with our walking tour. This is 1220 East Atlantic Avenue, the rounded corner, the rounded eyebrow. Next. Here's another one on East Atlantic Avenue with the fluted ribbing. And not too many residences in Delray, but this actually is a dental lab. But we can see the ironwork with the flamingos on the left and the sun rays, those stylized sun rays. And we see the glass block and the flat roof. Next. Here's a picture of the ironwork. And this used to be Muscles Restaurant. It's a different restaurant now, but it's funny. When my book came out, I went to eat there. The book didn't even come out yet, and somehow they had a copy of it. I was very impressed. This is in the book, and I discovered this after I wrote the book. So I got to see it in person, but this was a postcard from the Delray Beach Historic Society, and we see this nautical building called Nautical Air. Next. And then I got to see it in person. It was hidden on the A1A side. Next. And we see how modern it looks now with the pool and the ironwork. And we see the presidential building in Delray with the stripes, the green stripes and flat roof. You know, the awnings cover over so many of the eyebrows and things. Especially like in Lake Worth, you won't see all the elements because of the awnings. Next. And we come to the end where this is so sad for me. This is A.G. Holly, Tuberculosis Sanatorium. We see the heart logo in red. And no one wanted to say this was Art Deco when it's clearly Art Deco. It's a flat roof. Go back, please. We see the glass block. We see the stepped roof line. We see the eyebrows. We see geometric corners. Next. This is probably the largest Art Deco building anywhere, 162,000 square feet. And they just didn't want it. We fought, I went to every commission meeting for 15 years. We kept this building going. They even did $1 million paint job to restore it. But at one point we lost. And this was not only important because it's Art Deco. The architects were Smith and King, who designed all of our airports, who designed Cape Canaveral. You know, they're such important architects, and we lost this building. Next. Look at that. That's pure Art Deco. Next. And they had offers. So I would go all the time and take pictures of the demolition. I would drive right through, even though it said no one allowed in. I would go in anyway and take pictures. Next, they did a beautiful job. And see those two lights on the side of the doors? Next. Well, I got them. They gave them to me. They were so nice, the demolition people. See the eyebrow? There he is. He had to go back to his car and get me those clippers. And I got the Art Deco lights to A.G. Holly. And I got a few scraps. When they cleaned that site, they cleaned it. They didn't leave a nail. Here it is, gone. And it's sad from the car. I mean, they built nothing. I think they're just starting to build there now. But it's Lantana East between I-95 and Dixie. And it's called, preserve. It's owned by the state, and a preserve. They kept saying, well, we have to preserve the preserve, but they didn't want to preserve the architecture, even though other hospitals like Jackson Memorial were dying to take it over. And here we are at the end. Thank you for hanging in there with me. I appreciate it. If anyone has any questions, I'm here. And if anyone would like to come on our walking tour Saturday, please do so. SharonDelray@gmail.com.
Okay, thank you, Sharon. Thank you.
Thank you. Sign off if you'd like. Thank you. Hope to meet you all one day.